This is a film study look at Chidobe Awuzie and his performance in the Ravens' 23-16 win over the Cleveland Browns on Sunday afternoon, evening Baltimore's record at 5-5, heading into a Week 12 collision against the Jets. Awuzie was extremely smooth and calm in coverage. I think he had 3 passes defensed. Very capable and versatile, whether we're playing man, zone, or match coverages. Maybe one lapse in judgment or processing. I'm not sure whose fault it is. He releases Jeudy across the field. Jeudy ends up catching the football. That's when we missed 3 tackles in the fourth quarter. Gilman, Awuzie, and Kyle Hamilton allowing them to get the first down, but he made up for it. The play in the end zone, it's really one of the only times that Cleveland tried to push the ball downfield at all. Shedeur Sanders puts the ball in borderline perfect location. 84's got his hands on the ball. Awuzie is able to pull it out of there. Great balance. I thought in week 1 against the Bills, he looked stiff. I didn't think his feet were active at all. I actually made mention of it in the couple of videos thereafter, in between week 1 and week 2. It looks spectacular here, and I'm happy to see it. Let's get the film started here. Got a significant number of plays to go over, at least one of which Awuzie is not involved in. This is the first possession. It'll be a bunch screen down to the bottom side of our screen here. Now, it's not bunch already, where you're getting motion across by Harold Fanning, and he's going to end up blocking Gilman, who's going to widen up as the safety, the force player. And then the receiver who's on the line, I believe that's Tillman, is going to go get Teddy Buchanan. Basically, it leaves Awuzie unblocked. He's prepared for every moment. It's a 3-on-3 down here. One of a number of things that Cleveland did to make the game easy as possible on Dylan Gabriel. Conversely, things were incredibly hard on Shedeur Sanders when they went to a pass-first offense that was trying to get the ball downfield. In this case, it's a screen down to the bottom side of the field for the Browns. Awuzie fits it up perfectly. Underneath the force player, Gilman ends up making a tackle along with Gilman for short gain. Same possession, 4th and 1. Awuzie is off the field here. The D-line gets the stop, and there's also a penalty on the Browns for an illegal formation, basically because this jumbo offensive lineman is off the line of scrimmage because he's back. Then that means that this player, the left tackle, the actual left tackle, I think it's Cam Robinson, who got hurt later, he needs to be reported as eligible. He obviously did not. So whether they got the first down or not, it wouldn't have mattered. It was an illegal formation. It's jumbo personnel and reverse pivot by the quarterback, Gabriel. One running back in motion out to the flats like he's going to get a toss. Just trying to occupy players out there on the edge. In this case, Kyle Van Noy and possibly Kyle Hamilton. As it stands, I think it's Urban, Jenkins. Travis Jones kind of standing his ground. Okay, he's getting pushed back a little bit, but I think he's getting double teamed. But it's really Jenkins who gets underneath of the right guard right here that kind of stacks things up. In addition, Okoye is underneath of the left tackle. So we've kind of just created a wall for the running back to run into. And then Urban later than those guys at least, is crashing down. Help from Buchanan. We're able to get a stop. Really cool moment. Like I said, it wouldn't have counted anyway, but credit to our defensive line for getting the stop at least off the initial spot. Here, after the rest of the plays, will obviously feature Awuzie generally in coverage. This is his second possession. It's the 3rd and 7. He's man on Jeudy, and this is a 7-on-7 route for me. I mean, you're going to get a lot of shake to the inside and then shake back to the inside around the 8 or the 7 or 8 yard line. Secondary route is what's targeted here. Again, it's a 3rd down. It's Fanning from the top side of the screen. We zone this off. I wonder if this running back releasing to the field has anything to do with our reaction here as a will linebacker. Essentially, if he had released to the flats, would Buchanan kind of have worked this way a little bit more, talking about this running back here. But in any case, Awuzie not going for any of this stuff down here. It's really a waste of time, if you ask me, what Jeudy is trying to do. Fanning underneath is the late option. Really nice job by Buchanan in position. He didn't drift at all here, and that's important to mention. Earlier in the season, 2-3 weeks in a row, I talked about how much he would drift in his drop. He would get too much depth, such that underneath routes there was too much space for him to converge onto, and Roquan would oftentimes arrive sooner. In this case, he's not drifting as much in his zone coverage. Basically gets his heels in the ground, stops. You have a ceiling or a cap, if you will. In any case, we're talking about Awuzie, not targeted on the play, in my opinion, because he, pretty much wiped out the first route, or quote route, that Jerry Jeudy was trying to run. Moving to the second quarter, this is going to be a play-action boot off an over concept. Again, Awuzie into the boundary on the top side of our screen. A little bit of a same-side action between the running back and Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel is going to mesh with the running back and then boot to the top side in the same direction as Njoku will delay release, and then Tillman is the target working against Kyle Hamilton all the way across the field. Awuzie, number one, has to take this route. He has to take the route by Njoku into the flats. If he doesn't, then Gabriel's just going to throw the ball to Njoku in the flats, and you can see that's absolutely where he's looking in the first part of the play. Having said that, Awuzie understands that there's gotta be a route developing behind him. Now, he doesn't stop it here, but I'm just using this to illustrate his awareness. He's moving backwards well before Dillon Gabriel even goes to throw the football. I'm talking about he's already covered this flat route by Njoku. He's going to turn and go try to help Kyle Hamilton cover Tillman from all the way across the field. He didn't hear a call here. Not in an NFL stadium with thousands of people around. Don't listen to that shit. You can get certain calls from guys nearby to you. He's not getting a call from 16, 18 yards away and hearing it on an NFL field. This is the longest play of the season by the Browns, or by Gabriel, I should say, since Joe Flacco has left. And in fact, he topped it a little bit later. I don't think that it reflects negatively or positively necessarily against Awuzie. It's just the awareness. He knew that there had to be a route developing behind him. He's a longtime NFL player, right? Played 4 years with the Cowboys, 3 years with Cincinnati, 1 with Tennessee, and then now with Baltimore. By the way he's playing, I would advocate for looking at bringing him back next season whenever we get the opportunity to do so. Moving forward, third possession, he's going to zone off here. And this is a really nice play by I think it's Keon Martin, the nickel defender, who's kind of tucked in between all of those routes that I have drawn up. Basically, fanning is the route that Awuzie is going to end up defending, and Martin will lock up on Jeudy. It's a high-low concept. You can see that Gabriel is looking to that side of the field to make sense, right? There's 3 receivers on that side. We seem to have covered up Njoku pretty quickly off the snap. So there's nothing to the downside or to Gabriel's right. Very confident and just cool and collected, if you ask me, Awuzie. He finds the route, matches up on it, but still able to keep his eyes on the quarterback. In case the ball is thrown, he can try to make a play. I think it's Draymond Jones getting some pressure here, forcing Gabriel kind of off his spot. And then real nice job here by Martin, staying connected to Jeudy, who tries to spin move, and Simpson coming downhill to get a QB hit. I thought 3 times during this game Simpson was able to come downhill either as a spy or actually pass rushing against the right tackle one time and get some pressure on the quarterback. Really nice job by Keon Martin, who played exceptionally well, essentially in place of Marlon Humphrey. Even though Marlon was playing a lot of outside corner and Keon was playing nickel, essentially when Kyle Hamilton moved to dime linebacker and they took Teddy Buchanan off the field. Fifth possession now, and this is, I have it labeled as a bunch screen. I think that's actually mislabeled up here. This is the fake screen. So the outside receiver is going to run basically a bubble, and then I think this is fanning, is going to make it look like he's going to block, and then he'll kind of release late up the sideline. And it puts Awuzie in a little bit of conflict, if you ask me. It's a designed play to fake the screen up here and play on or prey on our eyes, focusing on the quarterback as a defense, which many of our players do. Awuzie certainly looking there, Buchanan as well. Gilman is kind of defending the concept. He's defending what's occurring here in front of him. In any case, you do get kind of 2 verticals, one of them up the seam, and then I think it's fanning, release, and late. So Awuzie is in a difficult spot. He's got 2 routes to defend. We just don't get enough pressure. We don't get pressure quick enough, such that he can get depth and defend both of them. Essentially, we would call it divider technique. Here, maybe he's too wide for some of our tastes. Maybe he's too far close to the sideline, and not able to defend this route by Tillman. This actually becomes the longest pass play for Dillon Gabriel all season. I think it was 26 yards. Really nicely designed play, don't get me wrong. And I think Awuzie probably needs to be a little bit more heavy on the seam route. Still in the 5th possession, and it's a stop route to Jeudy up at the top side of our screen out of an empty formation. We're into the 2nd quarter. I don't think we have thrown our pick 6 yet, but I could be wrong. So here's the concept. Essentially, attacking into the boundary so often. Stop route by 1, vertical seam, which I think is really just to clear out space for possibly Fanning to run onto in the event that Gabriel doesn't throw it to either the first, I think it's outside in. Blue, orange, yellow, 1, 2, 3, left to right. So it's cover 3 for us. And I think we're just matching it to the top side of the screen. So I'm talking about, how Awuzie and I think that's Gilman are dealing with these 2 routes. Quick reaction by Awuzie. It certainly may not be cover 3. In my opinion, it looks like it is to the other side of the field, number 1, with Hamilton out in the flats, deep third player, flat player here, but I think we're matching these 2 routes. So we may have some type of other call up there. Match may not really actually encompass or describe the concept correctly. The point is, quick reaction from Awuzie. Big hit on Jeudy, who really didn't do much. I think 3 catches for 21 yards. He, of course, does get the 3rd down conversion a little bit later. I thought Awuzie had pretty much an answer for everything that was put out there last night or yesterday afternoon between Gabriel and or Sanders, who's in the game now. So this is the 7th possession into the 3rd quarter. It's going to be a speed out, and Awuzie will disappear off screen for us for a moment. Once again, they're attacking into the boundary. The ball's on the left hash for the Browns when Shedor's in, and in this case, they're coming over into the boundary to the defense's right or our left as we're looking at the screen. We've rolled up the boundary side safety, probably to match this secondary receiver, 83, into the boundary. Quick release from Shedor, speed out, and I think you just got a great reaction, number 1. Great body awareness for Awuzie to not make contact with the receiver until he's making a play on the ball. I thought this was dangerous from the broadcast angle. I mean dangerous for the Browns. Awuzie's break, if he had been a half a step sooner, we're talking about the possibility of an interception. Just a great play, if you ask me, illustrates how smart the guy is and how he's retained enough athleticism to still make plays and be a really high-level cornerback. Definitely yesterday. I think he's played well for most of the year. I wasn't really happy in week 1 against the Bills, as I said earlier, and that's coming from somebody who's a big fan of his, moving over from the Bengals and then the Titans. Same play, all 22 angle. It's a speed out by Jeudy. It's a good matchup for us. I would guess he's their number 1 receiver. Where does Awuzie fall for us? Probably behind Nate Wiggins if you were going to rank them. The ability to see routes and see the quarterback at the same time kind of makes Awuzie look faster or quicker maybe. In certain instances, this could be one of them. I love this play. It forces them into a 3rd and long. He's a force multiplier. He's very professional, and he's not going to get beat generally on things that he's seen, dozens of times before. Moving over into the 4th quarter, Browns are still up 16-13. We haven't scored the touchdown for Andrews yet. As an aside, I did a Mark Andrews film study video earlier today. If you haven't checked it out, I'll link it up in the description. But this is a 3rd and 12, and we're in a mug look. So we've got all these guys up at the line of scrimmage, threatening, like we could bring 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, because that's how many guys are there. He takes away routes. And I think it's just route awareness, recognition, if you will. So Sanders is definitely looking to the downside of our screen to his left, the Ravens defense right. I think this is a drop cover 3. So basically I'm talking about, this is Martin dropping out into the flats. And I believe it's Draymond Jones up there dropping out into the flats on the other side. So consider those 2 guys mirrored players for this coverage. And once the running back kind of peels out a little bit, what I think Sanders is looking for is some expansion by the nickel defender out into the flats, right? You don't need to take the flats until there's a flat threat. And to me, Martin is expanding maybe a little bit soon and kind of opening this window a little bit, but Awuzie is all over. That's the idea behind the concept, is that they're trying to open that window for Jeudy. The ball would have had to have been out already, And I think that a big factor here is that Travis Jones is winning, and Sanders doesn't think that he has enough time maybe to fit this ball in the window once Martin keeps expanding to the bottom side of our screen. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Ends up being a scramble. Look, there's the line to gain. I think this is a really nice job by Keon Martin. He's got the running back moving out into the flats, and then Sanders scrambling. So it's almost like a 2-on-1, even though Roquan is helped late. And Martin, if you ask me, is just putting himself into position to defend the route and Shedeur and not pick one because he knows he's the down and distance is to our advantage. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. I just think he adapted during the play and recognized the situation. He didn't need to be immediate burst at Shedeur Sanders or only cover the running back such that Sanders was able to scramble and get a little bit closer to the first down. I believe we're into the 10th possession here, later into the fourth quarter. The Ravens have since gone up. There's a little over 2 minutes left, I think, as this ball is snapped. So similar concept to the one that I just described, except now it's going to be the tight end kind of chipping and then releasing into the flats. And this is Jeudy on like a deeper comeback or a deeper curl. We dropped Roquan out of here. I think you've got another version of a cover 3, really, in that Gilman is dropping down. Roquan dropping out from a mugged up alignment. And even though it may not look like it, I think you've got a cover 3 between these 4 underneath droppers. Keep in mind, this is the line to gain. So it makes sense that the safety, Gilman, dropping down will be at more depth. He would have more depth than the second-level droppers, especially Roquan, who lined up on the line of scrimmage. So this is great positioning by Awuzie, in my opinion. Smooth as fast for him, at least right now. I do think Shedeur Sanders pats the ball here once, and that could be why this is a touch late from a Browns perspective, but it's a nice effort by Awuzie to get his hand in there and essentially force the quarterback to throw the ball in a location that was lower percentage and made the receiver have to go down and get it. From the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of patting the ball one time before he throws. Like I said, I think it's the 1st and 10 in the fourth quarter, the 10th possession for the Browns. So it's cover 3, buzz, insert, off screen down here to our bottom left. As you can kind of see Gilman's helmet there. And then Roquan is dropping on the hook to curl. So those guys are your hook to curl droppers or hash droppers, if you will. You can see the little pat by Sanders might make it a little bit later, a split second later, to get that football into Jeudy, who wasn't efficient when you talk about total catches to targets. An example of, if you ask me, just the classic, solid, and very smooth, smart coverage that Awuzie has offered us so far in 2025, but specifically yesterday against the Browns. A couple of more plays here. This is a big one. Now, he does give up a catch, kind of ruins a nearly perfect game for Awuzie. He's set to the field, the right-hand side of the Ravens offense, the wide side in this case. Gilman does almost kind of appear to be looking in that direction, and I don't think Gilman's supposed to take over this route from Jeudy across the field because he's got other work. So when I say he's got other work, talking about vertical from the side of the field where Gilman lined up, and he's got this route to deal with, but Martin appears to be man there. So this kind of worries me a little bit. I shouldn't say worries. It confuses me a little bit. Awuzie is so smart. He's tracking Jeudy across the field, and it looks to me like he sticks his arm out and tries to communicate something to Gilman. I just don't think that's realistic. Too many times in the NFL we hear about communication and all those things. That's fine. Late fourth quarter, 57th, 58th minute of the game, I don't know that these two guys can hear each other from even that far away. It looks close here on film, but if you've ever been on a football field, it's loud no matter what level you're coaching at or you're playing at. It looks like he expects someone to take Gilman over because he stops, he being Awuzie. And then Shedeur's already gotten rid of the football. He saw it. So nice job by him getting the ball to Jeudy. We still should be able to make the tackle. We got Awuzie inside out, Gilman outside in, and then Hamilton late as the third defender. All three of these guys miss tackles or miss opportunities to tackle him, however you want to describe it. It's a great play by Jeudy, who otherwise, pretty much got shut down on the play. As a related point, I am a little worried about Hamilton playing a ton of snaps at the dedicated nickel, especially because, at this point, we need him to stop the run. And so he's playing a real version of a nickel Sam, a Sam linebacker / nickel DB. He can do those things because of his quickness, his size, his coverage ability, how spectacular he is on blitzes. I worry about him wearing down over the course of not just the season, but in a game where maybe we play a ton of defensive snaps. Now, that didn't happen yesterday necessarily, although he did suffer an injury around this time. I think it was before this snap on a 2nd and 5. In any case, here he is up to the top side of the screen talking about Hamilton. Awuzie down at the bottom. There's less than 1:30 left in the game as this is snapped. It might be 1:21 or 1:22. This is one of the plays of the game, in my opinion. You've got out route by Jeudy as the slot, a go, outside release go, and that's going to threaten Awuzie. The nickel defender is Martin, and he's going to go on a blitz. It gets picked up pretty well, I think, by the Browns, giving Shedeur a clean throwing platform. And Awuzie is really slow and smooth here off the jump. He's got confidence in himself to be able to turn his hips right now and go with this route. So I think Sanders must have already made up his mind, because if you know that it's a man turn here by Awuzie, then you're throwing this out right now to Jeudy because it's wide open. And you've got, great leverage, opportunity to catch it and run to the sideline. I think he must have made up his mind to throw the football. I just happened to have paused it, in the middle of that. So spectacular presence by Awuzie to not panic at all. Some guys do, obviously. He doesn't here, at least. Gets his hand out, able to rip it away from the receiver. Game could have been tied right there. There's opportunities for Cleveland to make plays. I think Shedeur throws a great football there. In any case, same play from the end zone angle. Ball's on the right hash, so Awuzie is to the wide side. This purple line is roughly Keon Martin's path on his nickel blitz. Mike Green getting upfield, trying another chop with his inside hand. Pocket pretty secure here for Cleveland, except Roquan. I think Roquan has got an opportunity here to get to Shedeur late, probably after the ball has thrown. This is a great play in a one-on-one situation. High leverage, game's 58th or 59th minute, however you want to describe it. Spectacular stuff from Awuzie to get the ball out of there. And we weren't done, right? We had another play the very next snap, 4th and 5. Great jump from Draymond Jones, who's up here. My apologies. He's right here lined up over the right guard. If you look at it in slow-mo, he's offsides. But, hey, they don't do that to look at penalties. If they do, then the Eagles aren't going to be able to run the tush-push hardly at all. It's also a great play by Roquan. Awuzie is uninvolved here. It's just a stop route on the backside by Tillman. It's a great jump by Draymond Jones to get off the line. And he was actually held by the right guard, who complained a lot. Maybe rightfully so, I guess. But he actually is being held. You can kind of see there's no reason for Draymond Jones' body to torque back this way and for us to see the back of his jersey from the angle we're at. That's a hold. Now, they may not call it in some of those situations. In any case, results in immediate pressure on Shedeur. Roquan has already locked up on Njoku, so we're in good shape. As long as Shedeur can't get, outside of the pocket here, and it looks like he has already made up his mind to throw the football to Njoku. We're very fortunate, if you ask me, to have a situation where we didn't have a will linebacker who could cover at all during the season so far in these past situations. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. In this case, happens to be a 4th and 5. Well, then now we're just going dime, and we're going dime with Hamilton as the dime backer. In this case, Keon Martin is the nickel. Oftentimes, it could be Marlon or someone else. And Roquan is functioning as our will linebacker. Now, the dime is actually the will, or the dime replaces the will in our base structure defense. Talking about Hamilton. And he's carrying Jeudy vertical from an inside-out leverage. And all Hamilton's doing is he's looking to see what one is going to do. So let's say 2 goes vertical and 1 jumps in. Then Hamilton's going to take over 1. That's why he's playing this from inside-out leverage, so that he can see 1 through 2. We're talking about right here, being able to see that. As it stands, it didn't matter because Roquan had it covered. He's the guy that Sanders targets, or the guy he's guarding is the player that's targeted. I thought Chidobe Awuzie, played a spectacular game. First of all, it's fun to watch because I remember when he signed, and there was a lot of commentary about it not resulting in anything. He's always hurt, and that may be the case. He may get hurt at some point this year, but he came up clutch for us on a day when Marlon was out. Our outside corner depth is lacking right now. I think that's pretty obvious. He was spectacular in coverage, made some tackles, quick recognition. That one weird play that I showed late in the game where he releases Jeudy across the field. I'm not sure. It's a 3rd and 10. I'm not sure what's going on there. Otherwise, sharp, integrated into the defense, held up under pressure in the end zone. Man, the defense could not have come up any bigger. They held Cleveland to 187 yards overall. That's the lowest yards that we've allowed in a game all season. Just a remarkable effort. Hamilton was disruptive, the leader of the pack, if you will, with 9 tackles, 1 sack. I think 2 quarterback hits and 3 PDs, or maybe it's 3 quarterback hits and 2 PDs, something insane like that. Draymond Jones, great play at the end in the 59th or 60th minute, and that says a lot when you have guys who can make plays at the end of a game. Draymond Jones, Awuzie in the play in the end zone that I showed, Roquan. I did think that Wiggins sharpened up a lot this week, but chose to do this one because of how often Awuzie was targeted. He played 52 snaps. It seemed to me like the Browns kind of avoided Wiggins. And if the ball was on one hash, they went into the boundary, pretty much away from Wiggins. If the ball was on the other hash, they went to the field, again, away from Wiggins. I could be wrong there, but that's just, I've watched through the All-22 one time and screen recorded some of these plays for Awuzie for this video. I thought he was under pressure, targeted often. He played every snap except for 3. I believe it was 3 goal line snaps. He wasn't on the field, and we needed every bit of it, to handle the Browns, who played with a lot of force. But I do want to point something out statistically about our defense. We got a stop on the first possession. Showed you some of that. The 4th and 1 stop by our interior defensive line that resulted in a penalty, which was unfortunate for us. We would have taken the ball over with great field position. Cleveland's second drive, they go 9 plays, 55 yards to tie the game at 3. From that drive until the final drive, the one that I just showed you some film of, Awuzie's PD in the end zone on a really nice ball from Shedeur, kind of dropped in there, and then Roquan's PD on the throw intended for Njoku. Between those 2 possessions, here's what the Ravens defense did to Cleveland. 36 plays, 66 yards. From the second drive until the final one right there when we got the stop at the end. So less than 2 yards per play. And that was bridging time with Gabriel and Sanders on the field. So the defense did a nice job against 2 rookie quarterbacks. Of course, there'll be people who take it with a grain of salt and say that it doesn't really matter. Well, at least it got us a 5th win to even our record and allow us to survive for another week with some type of playoff hopes. As it stands right now, we're obviously out if the season was to end today, but so would the Houston Texans be, and so would the Kansas City Chiefs. Just crazy if you ask me. If you guys enjoyed the video on Chidobe Awuzie, then please consider, commenting on the video, liking it as well to help, encourage the YouTube algorithm to kind of reward my work here and push this out to larger audiences. But finally, if you'd like to help in another way, and you think other Ravens fans would enjoy my thoughts and the plays that I use to illustrate the quality of Awuzie's play, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.